hands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You remain standing. Delegate Schindler has agreed to do the prayer this morning. Delegate.
Dear Lord, we come before you with grateful hearts, thanking you for the privilege and responsibility of serving as legislators in Western Maryland. We're humbled by the opportunity to make a positive impact on the lives of those we represent. Lord, we acknowledge all wisdom and strength and purpose come from you. Thank you for guiding us with clarity, granting us the compassion to understand the needs of our community, and blessing us with the ability to create meaningful change. Help us to lead with integrity, serve selflessly, and pursue what is best for the people we're called to serve. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Delegate. We do not have last week's minutes ready for a vote, so we'll hopefully take care of that next week. For the record, gathered with me this morning, Will Valentine, Delegate Valentine, he is online. We also have Delegates Baker and Bruce Beriano, who is counsel for Washington County. I'd first like to thank everyone for yesterday. I think that was just an awesome day to showcase Washington County government and businesses and all. And I heard a lot of positive comments on folks leaving the event, how well received it was, and actually one of them said it is the best event that he's attended during session. So thank everyone. I know a lot of hard work was put into that, so I want to just say thank you for that. We do have several guests with us this morning. We have Dennis Alexander from the Easter Seals. We have Elisa Ram. She is the new legal counsel for the Washington County Board of Education. Ms. Ram, would you like to say a few words, or are you good?
I just want to share that the Board of Education adopted its legislative program on Tuesday night. So that's been shared with the delegation. And there are several bills currently where whether support or oppose and have drafted written testimony that have also been forwarded to your respective offices.
Yes, we received those. I thank you. And also we have Aaron Mosier and Dick Stoner here to discuss agritourism. So I'll give you folks an opportunity to speak when we review the agritourism draft legislation. First up, we were going to give Dennis Alexander with the Easter Seals the opportunity to again introduce himself and to talk to us about the project that the Easter Seals has ongoing and underway. Mr. Alexander.
Thank you, Delegate Weigel, and good morning to other members of the delegation and guests. My name's Dennis Alexander, and I'm Director of Government Relations for Easter Seals. At this point, I want to turn it over to John Horowitz, who is our CEO, to talk a little bit about this project. So, John, why don't you take it away? I think you're muted, John.
Thank you. Sorry. So thank you, Dennis, and thank you to the whole delegation. We're very honored to be here today to have a chance to speak briefly about the planned Child Development Center in downtown Hagerstown. I hope that many of you are aware of this project, but it is critical to help attract new business and support workers in Western Maryland so that people from low-income families have a chance to work and break the cycle of poverty, as well as ensure that young children enter public school prepared to learn. And that's why Washington County Public Schools chose us as their partner to help make sure that we can create this center for 172 young children in a site that's been selected in partnership with Washington County Public Schools to ensure that these children are prepared for school and enter the 3 elementary schools that are in the catchment area prepared to learn and succeed. To give you just a little bit of background on this, and many of this I'm imagining you're familiar with, but 1/3 of children in the county live below the poverty level, and 49% are in homes receiving some form of public assistance. There is very well documented research of the importance of high quality early childhood education to ensuring that at-risk children like these succeed in school and frankly succeed in life. There's documented evidence of improved lifelong earnings, less likelihood of incarceration, and longer lifespans. So this is something that has been really driven by community support and support of the business community. And the community has really rallied together. And we've already raised almost 5 million of private funding for the one-time capital startup costs needed to open this center. And the center is sustainable operationally once we buy the building and do the renovation. But we really need that state match to be able to complete the purchase and complete the renovation and open the program. And the reason that we've been selected and gotten so far is we have a wonderful reputation and already operate 7 very high quality child development centers, and really know how to partner with communities to make sure that the full set of needs are accommodated. So, for example, here we've already built a partnership with Meritus to ensure well child screenings, but also to work on the health of the parents so that they are able to go to work and be successful. And I think as we as a final piece, we already have a building under contract that we're waiting to close on until we get this final piece of funding. And then we are ready. We've already got architectural drawings, a general contractor hired, and so we are shovel ready. And frankly, it would take any other group to getting started on a project like this at least a year. It's taken us 2 to get this far. So we really are looking for the state's support in the matching funding to match the private funding that we've already raised. And I wanted to, just for the last moments of our presentation, introduce Linda Aberswell, who I'm sure all of you know, but Linda has been a huge driving force in this program, and I wanted to give her an opportunity to share her background as to why she got involved in this project and with Easter Seals.
Good morning. We got involved because my daughter lost her childcare, and we started investigating, trying to find new childcare, and realized what a lack of opportunity there was out there. We met Easter Seals, and they bring on exactly what we need in this community. As you all know, we are very blessed educationally here in Washington County. Our Washington County Public Schools adopted a great vision this year. We have Hagerstown Community College, we have University of Maryland downtown, and soon we will have Meritus School of Osteopathic Medicine. So a child can grow up in our community and go all the way through medical school and never have to leave home. And that's incredible. But our only lack right now is that early childhood education. And that lack is primarily in downtown Hagerstown. The majority of those students there are on free and reduced lunches and really need our support. In addition to that, that will allow their parents to go out and work and finally see a brighter future for their family. So I just urge you to consider these options and help us out if it's possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ebersole. Is that end your presentation?
It does, but of course, I'm available for any questions.
Okay, so you said you needed state funding. What is the dollar amount of that?
The request is 5 million to match the 5 million private.
Okay. And you've requested that through the governor's budget or no? I think you have.
We did, and as you saw, the governor's budget, sort of punted to the legislature and said, so now we are hoping to be included in the legislative piece.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions for those folks?
Yes, I do have a
It's
question.
Delegate Baker. Go ahead, Delegate.
Hello, and thank you for your wonderful presentation. Am I still on?
Yeah, you're on, I think.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes.
So you had mentioned that you're already operating 7 locations.
Yeah.
Correct.
Where are those locations?
So they are clustered around Washington, D.C. So we are the independent local affiliate of the Easter Seals National Network, and are a local organization headquartered here in Maryland. And we have 4 centers in Maryland, 2 in DC, and 1 in Northern Virginia.
Okay.
And then on the child development side, and then on the medical adult day side, we've had a center in Hagerstown for over 25 years now, as well as Baltimore and Silver Spring.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Anyone else have any questions? Senator Corderman?
Yeah, not necessarily a question, just a just for an update with the delegation. We had met with, or I had met with Secretary Grady about a month or so prior to session in regards to this project specifically, and it was very well received by the administration. Now, obviously, when the budget came out, the funding was not there, but the administration seemed very supportive of it. Obviously, it checks a lot of the boxes of administration. The child care scholarships are, as the governor's made publicly, one of their top priorities. So, as we continue this conversation with folks down here, it did have immense support with the administration, with folks I had talked to previously. It's just a challenge about getting it over the finish line here. So, and I met with the folks from Easter Seals yesterday. I appreciate them coming by as well, and appreciate their continued advocacy.
Okay, thank you, Senator. Anyone else? All right, well, thank you all. We appreciate your, working towards that project. It does sound like an excellent project to provide a needed service in the community. So we'll continue to work as we can in this tight budget year. So thank you all.
Thank you very much. And of course, if further questions arise, we're always happy to answer them. But thank you for including us today.
Okay, thank you. All right, we will move into new business and review legislation. First on the list, we have the treasurer, the tax sale. So there was a request from the treasurer to codify the tax sale requirement. The county has done one every year, but it was pointed out to us it's not actually required in the code, in the statute. In conversation with the bill drafter, he suggested that we maybe reconsider that legislation, as doing that wouldn't give the county the flexibility potentially to not hold a tax sale if they so desired. And that he cited COVID, where apparently there were a lot of jurisdictions who waived their tax sales that year, given the unusual circumstances and a lot of folks losing their employment. So I did speak with Treasurer Breeding. He is okay with removing that legislation from consideration. So is there any discussion on that item? Seeing none, is there a motion to remove from consideration for legislation the treasurer tax sale, putting it into statute?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to remove the proposed legislation from consideration.
All right, so we have a motion by Delegate Valentine. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Senator Corderman. Any further discussion? All those in favor, vote by either saying aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none opposed. Thank you all. So we will not consider that legislation for this year. Next on the list is the agritourism bill. This was a request by some of our constituents to include Washington County with the other 19 jurisdictions that kind of provide special treatment for ag buildings and allowing them to diversify their operations and exempt them from certain code requirements and such. So we're not going to vote on this one today. It's strictly for discussion, but we do need to hear from the county as far as their thoughts on it. And if we don't want to be part of the 19, we could do something separate. It doesn't mean we have to join the other 19 counties. So I'll give the county administrator the first opportunity to speak, and then we'll allow the two folks, Aaron Mosier and Dick Stoner, to speak as well, and then we'll continue discussion from there. Michelle?
Okay, so we did discuss this with the board, and the board supports adding Washington County to the legislation as it is currently written, and just tagging on as the 19th county adopting this agritourism bill. They are not proposing any changes or amendments to the bill as it exists.
Okay, thank you. Good to know. Mr. Stoner or Ms. Mosier, would you care to comment, or are you?
Aaron, I'll jump in if that's okay. You all probably know, but ag buildings that are used primarily or entirely for animals are already not, or already have an exemption, but they're not inspected in the as other commercial buildings would be. But the main point of this bill, the other counties have done this, and I thought it was a little surprising that Washington County wasn't in on that from a few years ago. But basically, there's been some confusion with buildings on farms that are used in connection with whether it's educational events, or I think in one case in Aaron's, it's a flower shop, and there are other buildings that are connected to ag tourism that a county inspector comes in and immediately starts looking for sprinklers and life safety code issues. And it obviously has come up in other counties. So this is just a way to say that if these buildings are purely used for ag tourism, and I think state law already identifies the components of ag tourism, hay rides and corn mazes and things like that, but also things that happen in buildings. So all this is, and hopefully this is one of the easiest bills you all can support this year, because it's simply saying that we want to support ag tourism by not having the county building inspectors go out with their microscopes looking at the building where flowers are assembled or classes are given on animal husbandry and things like that. So if anyone has questions, I think both Aaron and I are online, but she has an operation that has run into issues on that. Our farms have not, because we don't really participate in ag tourism, but it's a big part of the county, as you know, tourism in general, and the ag tourism sector's really grown a lot. And there's specific issues like the overnight stays that are separate. They're not included in this. This is just relating to building inspections of ag buildings. So with that, I'll just see if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, sir, for that clarification. Ms. Mosier, do you care to speak? I don't see her online, so
She's got some youngsters getting off to school, I think, so that might be an issue.
All right, with that, I know Delegate Baker has a question. I'll turn it over to Delegate Baker. All right, he's good. Anyone else have any comments, concerns? Senator Corderman?
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Stoner, for the information, and just to kind of clarify on what you said there, and confirm what Ms. Gordon had said, because there was a lot of communications going back and forth last week or so. We just want to make sure that all we're doing is just adding Washington County to this other list. I think the delegation is supportive of that. It sounds like the county supportive of that. There've been some other conversations about changing this, that, and the other. That sounds like a more in-depth conversation. So, I think you'll have support for simply adding Washington County on that. And if there's something additional, maybe we can look at that in the future. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page, because I know there's been a lot of back and forth about a variety of different things. Just want to make sure we're all, again, singing from the same sheet of music here going forward. So we're just adding Washington County to this and moving forward, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and just so you all know, if you don't mind me adding into that, the other issues relating to it, I think, are mainly in the zoning code. So they're just county issues. They're not state issues. So there have been discussions of, at what point is an agricultural event, a wedding where people are coming to the farm primarily for this non-farm event as opposed to ag tourism. So that's those issues. I think there are a lot at the county level that could fix the zoning code on some of the things to clarify what ag tourism is. But what Paul Quarterman just said is entirely correct. This bill is just about adding at the state level to clarify that Washington County would have the same exemption the other counties have for relating to the building codes. That's it. So thank you for having us today.
So, Mr. Stoner, could you clarify this would or would not allow someone to have a wedding ceremony on using their agricultural barn or building?
Right. A wedding is considered a commercial event or a bigger event because people are coming primarily for that event that could be held anywhere. They're not coming relating to the ag tourism. So this bill has nothing to do and does not address the bigger venues, which again, as I said, could be clarified in the county zoning. But at the state level, it's clear that ag tourism is for educational events, is for the other summertime farm-related visits that people make primarily because they're learning about the farm, not because they're attending another event. So this does not address wedding venues. That really is a separate issue.
Okay, thank you. We'll vote on this bill next week. I think it is simple enough. It's just adding us to the list of the other 19 counties. So, but if anyone has, once you read it over, if you have any comments, concerns, or whatever, just
So this bill
need to
will
get
allow-
back to us.
This bill will allow Washington County to do exactly what the other 17 counties do.
I think it's 19 on the list. Yeah, right. We would just be added to the list. Michelle, was that, you said the commissioner supported that. Was that unanimous?
Yes, that was unanimous. All
Okay,
five.
thanks. Senator, you have another question?
Yeah, real quick.
Okay.
What is the what's the drop deadline?
I think
They
it's
were talking
next
about bringing
Friday.
some- I'm sorry,
Next Friday, I believe, isn't it?
Friday. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Krista said the 6th. Yeah, the
I think it's
6th. different
different on our side. That's what, if we're gonna put the Senate cross file, we're getting.
Yeah, so
technically
what is
close.
your deadline?
Well, that's what I'm trying to look up right now. Hang on 1 second. It's either Thursday or Friday next week. That's all I was asking.
Yeah, I think it's Friday for us. Is that the 6th?
For them.
Senate day is. I know we're good. It looks like it's the first Monday in February. So, okay. Let's make sure we had time to still get it in.
Yeah,
If the
if
House
you
is-
all want to vote on it this week, I'm fine with that. It's whatever the will of the body wants to do.
Yeah, no, and I was just, and not just this bill, but referencing other bills too, as far as moving some of these along, but I'll follow your lead, Chair.
Senator, if you want to make the motion, make the motion.
Sure, make a motion, we move forward with the agritourism bill.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Delegate Valentine. Any further discussion? All those in favor, vote by raising your hand or saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we will move that bill forward and drop it. The next one on the list is the also from the treasurer, notice of tax sale. And this one would alter the number of ads that the treasurer would have to run. I'll come back to county property tax credit. I say I skipped that one. But the treasurer one, it would alter the manner in which the tax sale is advertised. It would reduce the number, I believe, from 4 to 2 times required published in a newspaper. That publication would also require to be included a statement referencing folks to the county website, how they can access that website. And then in addition to that, as we all know, the sale potentially of someone's home is, you know, it's no laughing matter. It's a very serious matter. So what we've also included in the legislation would be an additional requirement for a second notification after the tax sale. Right now, there's only one notification sent after the tax sale. If this were passed, there would be 2 notifications required to the property owner that their property had been sold at tax sale. Again, I'm not planning to vote on this one today unless folks desire to, but is there any discussion on this item? Senator?
The second notification, how is that made? I don't know if can the treasurer
It's the
provide?
same as the first. It's required first class mail.
Okay,
And you know, if there's another manner in which we could reliably get that notice out, I'm more than receptive to hear that, because sometimes first class mail has a problem getting through these days. Ms.
Thank you.
Gordon?
I just wanted to express that the board, the majority of the board oppose this change to the legislation, given that a citizen's home is often their greatest asset, representing a large personal investment. Reducing the notice given to property owners in the form of advertising in the newspaper before selling it is not appropriate. We are not aware of any deficiency in the current or historical practice by which the treasurer's office has conducted tax sale and notified property owners that their property is included in tax sale. Excuse me. And additionally, on July the 1st of 2024, a lawsuit was filed in federal court against the mayor and city council of Baltimore that alleges improper and unlawful practices related to tax sales, which could have significant implications for Maryland towns and counties. MACO believes that these allegations could potentially upend current tax sale processes, leading to operational, fiscal, and legal challenges for county governments, and it's unwise at this time to consider any changes to Washington County's tax sale procedures with this federal lawsuit pending.
Thank you. Could you provide us with a vote on the board? You said the majority.
I believe it was 4-0 with Wayne Kiefer either opposing or not being there. I can't remember.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I think it was 4-1.
4-1. Okay. And that was at one of the board's public meetings?
Yes.
Okay. All right. If you could just provide us with a copy of those minutes, I'd appreciate it. Mr. Kiefer?
Thank you, Delegate. Underscoring and highlighting what County Administrator Gordon just mentioned, there is a pending federal lawsuit in federal court pertaining to tax sales. As counsel to the treasurer's office, as well as the board, I would just reiterate my caution and hesitancy to make any changes to the tax sale process at this time. Especially, I want to note as well that similar to the federal lawsuit against Baltimore City, the defendant in this matter would be the Board of County Commissioners for Washington County. So this legislation is opposed by the board. It would potentially expose the board to litigation and force them to defend the suit. And you know, just want to bring that to the delegation's attention. In addition to the board's opposition to this legislation, they would be the ones footing the bill for the defense of any suit. So just the timeliness of it, I don't think is appropriate to put forth any changes.
Actually, that would be the taxpayers of Washington County footing the bill. Senator Corderman?
yeah, just a follow-up to that second notification. I didn't know if perhaps Treasurer Breeding could provide some insight. I know when we first
Absolutely.
were talking about this bill, it was some conversation about some cost savings to the taxpayer and the constituents. You know, if we're not advertising 4 times in the paper, there would be some savings there. With adding in the second notification, how does that work out as far as from a kind of savings perspective? Is it still a, can you elaborate on that there, Mr. Treasurer?
Absolutely. The first class mailing, now I've outsourced the reminder notices. I've got the note right here. Last week, 3,879 were mailed last week at a tremendous cost savings. And what we're doing with this new first class mailing, we captured the barcode information, and we can now tell, and my staff does this, the day that reminder notice hits the mailbox. And holding in my hand is a little thing, a stamp that I personally bought off Amazon. And now we just stamp the envelopes, first class mail, final notice. That has made such a huge difference in the return on the investment. But here's my point with the newspaper mailings. And if you look at the circulation numbers, 1/3 of Herald Mail's recipients do not even live in Washington County and live out of state. And we're just not seeing the notice. And interestingly enough, I spoke to my peer in Allegheny County this morning, Mr. Lushball, and he is going to be asking the delegation and his county administrators to support this as well as St. Mary's County is going to. We're just not seeing the notice. But as far as the actual cost for the reminder notice, it was about $2,250 last week to have them printed, mailed, and there was a total of 4,523 notices. So we get a huge discounted rate in the mailing. It's 11.2 cents per reminder notice. And the average postal cost, because of the barcoding and the pre-sort, is only about 42 cents per copy. So we're getting them out for basically 2 quarters, 55 cents. So for the number of reminder notices that are going out, it's not that many compared to what we're advertising in the newspaper. And that's where we find the bang for the buck, is on that reminder notice. And by the way, my office is already exceeding the state standard by policy, not by law. The state law requires 1 reminder notice and a final legal notice. I send 3 reminder notices and then a final legal notice. So notification is not a problem, I assure you. I've not had one customer call in and say, I did not know my property was a tax sale.
So just to double check, so Matt, you said 2,200 for the mailing, but what was the cost on the newspaper advertising? So we're reducing 2 newspaper advertising. So what's the how's it shake out?
Okay, let me take 37,000 divided by 6. So $92.50 per newspaper advertising, $9,250.
Wow. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Can I go to that Baltimore City case is an interesting case, and I have studied that case and was aware of it before it was brought up by the county. Baltimore City has a very different requirement, and they are not required in the paper. Everything they do is by electronic notification. And that is kind of the issue there. And I see the point of the valid case that it should be somewhere in the public domain. I think they may have gone a little too far on their legislation by, just online only. But I am familiar with that case and looked at it back in October before I proffered this change.
Okay. Any other comments or discussion?
I just have one comment. I just want to point out that the cost savings that would be realized would actually be offset completely by a reduction in revenue, because 100% of the cost associated with auctioneering, advertising, any notices are passed on to the customer whose property is being sold at tax sale.
And I agree, the county administrator is correct on that. It is passed along to either the tax sale certificate or in, almost 98% of the time to the customer when they redeem their property. And keeping in mind that the customer is already struggling to pay their taxes. And if we can cut that cost, I think that I'm serving the citizens, or the county would be better off serving the citizens by a reduction in those fees, as opposed to supporting the newspaper lobby.
Mr. Breeding, I'm sorry, what was the cost of running one ad? I know Senator Corder asked that question.
Well, it diminishes with each ad because there's less some less, but the total in 2023 was $37,000. So we take that times 4 or divided by 4, that's what 9,250 per weekend posting.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, so we will reconsider this next week. So if anyone has any other questions or comments on that bill, please get them to us during the course of the next week. We will move on then to the county property tax credit. This was requested by the county commissioners to change the, I guess, economic development incentives for folks who invest, who are either new to the county or existing businesses. And again, this was at the county's request. Jonathan, are you okay with the language?
I am. Thank you.
Any comments, discussion on this bill? Ms. Gordon?
Thank you. I just wanted to state that this change was supported 100% unanimously by the Board of County Commissioners, and I'd like to thank you for putting this legislation through.
Certainly, we appreciate y'all bringing it to us. Is there any further discussion on that? Do y'all wish to move that bill this week, or would you wish to vote on it next week?
I'll say so.
Senator Corderman?
Yeah, I'm okay to move this thing now. I think this is a great bill. I appreciate the county's efforts here. I think this is exactly what we need to be doing here in Washington County. We're trying to incentivize and grow our local economy. As we see some of the things that are coming out of Commerce right now with some of their reshuffling, rebranding, and tax credits, I appreciate the county stepping up and putting this together. So I'd make a motion to move forward with this.
All right, we have a motion by Senator Corderman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Delegate Baker. Any further discussion? All those in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I believe that Senator McKay and Delegate Schindler have left the meeting, so still carries by unanimous vote of those present. Thank you. Next up on the list, we don't have those back yet, but just a reminder, all the alcohol bills, mainly they're to adjust the 6 and 1 day license to a 7-day license. We do not, with the exception of the one that would allow those sales at bed and breakfast. Again, we don't have those drafts back. Once we receive those, we'll have those on the agenda for discussion. The same with the disabled veteran tax credit. We do not have a draft back for that. The last item on the list we did discuss last week, and we provided further information on that. So this bill is basically being spearheaded by the Frederick County delegation. And what the bill does is currently you're allowed to carry a handgun during bow hunting season in what's considered Region A. And if you look at your maps, that's kind of the pinkish color on the map. So it's all of Garrett, all of Allegheny, and part of Washington County. What the Frederick County delegation is proposing is that allowance for carrying a handgun during bow season would be extended through the remainder of Washington County and all of Frederick County. So it would be inclusive of the entire counties to allow that practice. And we are not, again, we're not sponsoring this legislation, but it would require a letter from Washington County delegation if we're in support of that. So is there any discussion on that item?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Delegate Valentine.
Are you gonna move, or do you want me to? Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to give a little background for the reason for this legislation in Frederick County. It's mainly a safety issue for the hunters involved. There's quite a bit of with the bear population continuing to migrate, as well as coyotes and things of that nature. The Frederick County delegation, this is merely a safety issue for those involved in those type of activities. And that is the background for the proposed legislation. I just wanted to make the delegation aware of that.
All right, thank you, Delegate. what is the wish of the delegation on this one?
I make a motion to support if it's the letter of support that's needed.
Okay, thank you,
Second.
Senator. So
Second.
motion for letter of support by Senator Corman, second by Delegate Baker. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, vote by saying aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. Again, it carries unanimous of those present, with Delegate Schindler and Senator McKay being absent. Thank you all. Last on the list, we do have an opportunity for public comment. If there's anyone on the meeting that would like to comment for the good of the public, just please state your name and for the record and go from there. I see Mr. President Paul Fry, you had your hand up.
Hey, good morning, Chair. Good morning, the rest of the delegation. Just again, want to emphasize what you had mentioned early on. Thank you for everyone's support for our day in Washington County. We had great feedback from your colleagues and from the other folks we visited with, not only throughout the day, but also at the reception. And we had Lieutenant Governor Miller in attendance, and we steered her towards our students, kind of the stars of the show, and she's very impressed, and it's a day they'll remember. So again, we wanted to thank you. We had good compliments from your colleagues we visited with through in the morning and the afternoon, and thank you for your support. And we'll look forward to working with you for the rest of the session.
Yeah, I did discover that I'm not going to be a surgeon anytime soon because my robotic hand just could not put that little piece onto the pin. But the student did it like that, so it's like pretty interesting.
That's a PlayStation benefit, hand-eye coordination. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? Mr. Bariano.
I just wanted to indicate that I will be testifying next week before one of the House committees on behalf of Washington County and the other counties I represent. Again, just stating for the record the opposition to the constitutional amendment on changing the mode of government. So I will be doing that. I have letters from the various counties, on that. Secondly, I will. I don't know if you've seen the amendment.
You got it.
To the House bill and even the Senate bill to change the deadline of the setting for the county and municipal corporation tax rates. There's an amendment by MACO. I know one of the counties that I represent had a real problem with it, but there's an amendment by MACO to give the counties and more time to set their rates and then get it to MSTAT for distribution. And I will research the recreational, the ag tourism issue, and get back to the delegation meeting in terms of the activities that can occur.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bariano. I know that a lot of folks got their reassessments this year and they're up on average, I think 40% plus. So there's probably a lot of concern about the ensuing rate from those increased assessments. Senator Corderman.
Yeah, just following up on Mr. Bariano there. We actually had that bill on our voting list yesterday for the tax rate thing. And just to provide some further update here to our home folks, what was proposed was to change that. Right now it's July 1st is what the tax rate has to be set by, and there's a bill to move it back to June 1st. MML put in written opposition asking for June 15th. Anne Arundel was asking for June 20th. We had the chair hold the bill yesterday for further clarification from MACO, as Mr. Bariano described. I suspect that they'll be somewhere in the 15th to 20th range. But yeah, that's what was going on with that.
Okay. Thank you for that update. Ms. Gordon.
I just want to echo what Senator Corderman just said. The Budget and Finance Committee of MACO has indicated June the 15th. However, the county administrator's portion has indicated June the 20th. So it'll be somewhere between June the 15th and the 20th.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no hands raised, is there a motion for adjournment?
Motion.
Motion by Delegate Baker.
I'll second.
Second by Delegate Valentine. Thank you all. We'll see you next week.